Hello, welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I have the pleasure today of interviewing Jyoti Wind. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. Always good to be here.
Wonderful. Jyoti, it's a blessing for me each and every time. Please open up our space together.
Okay. I'd like to call in the ancient mothers of the East and the South and the West and the North, and ask them to be with us today as we look at our lives and the evolution of the planet. Grandfather of the great above, we ask for your protection. Grandmother of the great below and of the earth herself, Gaia, that we walk upon, may she be present with us as well. And to that wisdom, that higher self, that wise heart, may that part of us also be present. So I have something that I came upon from about 5 years ago that I thought I'd share. And it's called We Rose as One. We rose as one, the meek and the strong, beauty in the movement, taking up space, a chorus of minds, the voice of one, a terrific and terrifying vision of wholeness, declaring the revolution had begun. There was no anger, only hope, and its older sister, knowing, that permeated the cells of all those present. The sun had risen on the masses, and they refused the night. No more ignorance, no more subservience of the master and the serf. With this awakening, when the 100th monkey woke, there was no turning back. The new age, the Aquarian age, the new earth, had been ushered forward by the people themselves, an age as prolific as the golden ages of Greece and Egypt, more so now with evolution at its beck. We rose as one.
Beautiful, Jyoti.
Thank you.
Rising as one sounds like a beautiful idea. It doesn't exactly feel like that right now, Jyoti.
Yeah, it doesn't. I've just seen some film clips of some things that are going on in Europe, across the whole continent, in different cities and towns, and people burning their utility bills in the town squares and just refusing the way it's been, especially with a 1,000% hike in charges and access to food when you're looking at the fuel shortage and the fuel prices and how that trickles down and what that means across a town, a city, commerce, getting food, all of that. It's and what's going on in Iran, and women making a stand for not only women, but women and men making a stand for their rights. And nobody wants to sit down at the table and do the same old, same old.
Yeah. Yeah. Jyoti, you're speaking of this on a world level, and yet I'm feeling it on a family level. I think folks could identify with that as listeners, this speaking our truth, but it not wanting to be heard.
And also, I see this as revolution and responsibility, and yet it's our responsibility to stand for ourselves and to take responsibility for who we are as a nation. We always have a great father, maybe someday a great mother, who sits in Washington and treats us in a way like the children. And so we have to rise and take responsibility for who we are as conscious adults. And the more we can do that in many different ways. I mean, we vote with our money. We put our dollars here and there by what we purchase, what we refuse, what we feel is right for us and our families at any given time. And so, being more conscious, being more willing to think about what we eat, how we exercise, how we keep ourselves strong, how we kind of push away the illusion that wants to influence us, that we need to be taken care of and we can't make our own choices, our own healthcare choices, alternative or traditional or standard AMA, whatever it happens to be for each person, that we can make our own choices and take responsibility for those choices.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, Jyoti, is yes, speaking our truth, yes to revolting, but we also have to take responsibility for what's coming up and changing our ways.
Yes, and you know, it's very subtle. I look through an astrological lens at all of this, and it's very subtle in the way it kind of slips in, because it's an aspect perhaps that starts out as oh, what's that? You know, how is that going to look? And then we see some things in the outer world that kind of mirrors or has been kickstarted in a sense by that very aspect. And it's slow sometimes to move, and then all of a sudden we're in the throes of it, and it just, you know, reminds me of looking at all the prophecies back in the 70s, you know, from Nostradamus and Edgar Casey and Ruth Montgomery, um, and then other people came along. Michael Scallion was one. He was big on the earthquakes and keeping track of the earthquakes across the country. I think he still has a website across the world, actually. And just noticing the earth changes, and you know, listening to someone the other day about the sunspots that have been going on, especially, you know, like high class sunspots, meaning classified quite highly, and in their impact on the earth, and just looking at all the things that are coming together at this point in time. I mean, sometimes I feel like it's such a repetition on my part when I send out astro updates, and it's about letting go and transformation and, you know, all of that stuff, but it's what's happening, and it's what's being pushed individually and collectively, because we are in a, you'd say, evolution revolution right now. We are being offered huge steps of change that really haven't quite been on the table in this way before. You know, I think back to the Arab Spring. I think back to, you know, not little things, but individual things here and there, and how big the repercussions were, and then it got quiet again. And now it's loud. It's very loud.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about this evolution revolution. I love that term. That's how do you see that? How do you see that playing out?
Um, to me, it's like we just have come to a place where it's incumbent upon all of us to wake up and take responsibility for our place here. I mean, this is, you know, a gift to be on the planet in a sense, and it's an opportunity for us to grow, and with our soul's agreement, perhaps with the spirit of the earth, with Gaia and her evolution, We have opportunities to really grow beyond where we've been, and in mass to have a different kind of world, to choose a different kind of world where the old ways that our ancestors got caught in and hoped for us to change, let's say, hoped for us to wake up, to come in awake, or to wake up while we're here, to a different way of being and a different way of a different level of consciousness, so that we could make choices that benefit both the earth and our ongoingness here.
Mm. You know, when we hear the conversation out there, one of the things that concerns me is it's always put that someone else needs to change, but not me. And where the conversation really needs to come back to the individual, and what are you doing?
Yes, yes. And what are you doing? Exactly. You know, where are you willing to take responsibility and step up and say, okay, I'm not going to behave that way anymore, or I'm going to be kinder to the people I interact with in the day to day, or I know my neighbor down the street is sick, so I'm going to take them some food, you know, or I'm going to at least walk down or phone or text and find out how they're doing, you know. And we have to pull this out. We as the people, nobody else is going to do this for us. There's no being in shining armor that's going to land here and pull it out for us, because we've been stuck in old ways for a good while, and these times were prophesied. You know, I remember reading Mary Summer-Rain's books and her teacher No Eyes, and how No Eyes took Mary through or into the future and showed her the breakdown and why it was necessary, and what could come out of that, or what might come out of that, depending on free will. I mean, this is the planet of free will. It's up to us whether we want it enough, a more conscious society leading toward a golden age eventually down the road, maybe 150, 200 years down the road, um, where we actually live in harmony, that it's not a pipe dream, it's a reality that we have to grow into.
Yeah, but growing into that isn't always comfortable, is it?
No, no, that expression, it's always darkest before the dawn. You know, I mean, things have to break down to be reborn. And it's like tearing down a house, you know, that's old and decrepit, and building something maybe even alongside it, maybe not even in its footprint, but you know, building something alongside it that's what you really want to live in now.
Mm. That's such a beautiful example, because I think, you know, we can embrace this lofty idea that times are changing and we're moving to this new age. But the truth is, we are the ones that are moving into the new age, and we are the only ones that can do something different.
Yes, with our choice, with
Yeah.
our personal choice about how we behave. Do we adapt a new model of communication because it's more heartfelt, it's more caring? Do we plant our own food and grow our own food? Do we, in order not to be at the mercy of maybe some of the chemicals and pesticides and additives and things like that? I mean, you know, some of us stepped into the hippie movement in the 70s and never left, in a sense, in our thinking, because it became a way of life. It became something that some of us felt true about, not just baby boomer mentality, but something that felt right. Our attunement with the earth, our ability to connect. connect with the earth and connect with each other, because there's a lot of disconnection right now. And whether it's from each other or from the earth herself, there's a lot of disconnection. And what we're seeing is the result of it, and the movement toward connection, even if it's in the middle of a demonstration in the middle of a city with two sides at odds against each other. There's a sense of connection, like we're moving together, we're doing something, we're actually doing something, not just sitting around and turning a blind eye, because this is a time of revolution.
So I know months back, you talked about what might come, and astrologically what might come. Is this looking like what you thought it might look like, Jyoti?
Well, it's like in astrology and a reading. I could tell you perhaps tomorrow's a good money day, but I can't tell you that at 2 o'clock a woman will knock on your door and hand you a check. You know what I mean? So in that way of looking at things, yes, upheaval, yes, transformation, yes, change. Rioting in the streets and burning utility bills, I would not have thought that. I would not have looked for that exact specific. But I know there's other people who do. There's an astrologer I listen to once in a while, Pam Gregory out of England. I really like her view. She was talking about how it's not so much that there's this rising of negativity, as this is my translation of what she said, as much as this new earth coming in that cannot abide the old negativity, and so it's being destroyed, or the old limitation so it's being destroyed. And it's like this new imprint that's coming in that people are being offered. This is my kind of view of it, that people are being offered the opportunity to rise into and ground it.
But there seems to be some clash in that, whether folks are willing to accept that opportunity.
Yes.
Because to accept that opportunity often leads to discomfort. It often leads to letting go of how you've done things in the past or the way you viewed things. Yeah.
And then fires come and earthquakes come, and we have climate change refugees and hurricanes, and everybody has to leave everything behind. And all of a sudden they have nothing. And so they're more vulnerable in a sense to looking at something else, because the old got swept away or burned away or blown away. I mean, we're being pushed in a sense. Yes, it is an invitation, but on a soul level, not a personality level. A personality level says, I've got all my creature comforts, I've got my TV, my couch, I've got my kids and, cars and job and income, and I'm good, But on a soul level, the soul says, what is it time for? And collectively, what is it time for? I don't know about contracts, but I think that we have agreements to be here all at this point in time, collectively, that we signed up for this, that we knew on a soul level at this point in time, this was probably the way it would go. Always room for free will and people stepping up and saying, okay, we're ready. We don't have to wait till 2050. We can do this year. I mean, it's like the old axiom in astrology says, the stars don't compel, they impel. it's not mandatory. They don't make it so you have to do something. They just kind of open a door and crook a finger, kind of
Right.
thing. Invite you into a different way of looking at things or different behaviors. I
Mhm.
mean, if we have free will, we have the capacity to change our minds. We have the capacity to dream up something else or dealing with the same situations in a different way.
Mm.
We have that power. We're so much larger than these little personalities that we walk around in every day, with our opinions and our ruffled feathers and our um, uh, constraints.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're so much bigger than that. We just we have to want it. We have to want something bigger. I was going to say we have to will it, but we really have to want it.
Yeah. This kind of takes me back to the very beginning, some of our earlier talks about making time to let the soul speak. Because, when I'm picturing the soul and the personality might want a vacation and a little bubble resort. And the soul wants to sit, on a lakeside deserted and contemplate their purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. So who wins out?
Right, but who
What
wins
part
out?
wins?
Who's the loudest, right? Who we give
Yes.
time to.
Yes. Yes. So then the soul who's here for experiences either shows up in a dream, has somebody make a phone call, has realization,
Yeah.
hey, I can't do this way anymore. I really need to change my ways, or sometimes I talk to myself like I would one of my kids, it's like, Jyoti, you can't do that, better, you know.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, or, you really need to spend some time in nature. Let's go. Let's go for a drive. Let's go find some trees and let's sit there and be quiet and quiet your breath and just be with what is, and unbusy yourself.
Yeah, but you're taking care of the soul in that. That was the soul asking for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the personality doesn't ask for that.
Not necessarily. It depends. It depends on how you've cultivated the personality.
That's
You
true.
know what
Good
I mean?
point. Yeah.
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 I mean, you can sit on the couch or you can get up and go for a walk, and if you're used to walking because your body needs it, then you sit on the couch for 5 minutes and get up and go for a walk. You don't have to battle with yourself and ultimately stay on the couch, or you can be willing, it's our intention. Intention is, 80%, if not more, of what we do, accomplish, and experience. And if you have the intention of growth, you have the intention of listening to your soul, of being willing to hear it, um, then you're you're farther along your own path than you might be if you're just putting your head in the sand and it's all too much and you don't want to look at things on a personality level. The soul knows what's going on and why it's here. The personality always has choice. Do I want to listen to the soul, or do I want to listen to the part of me that just wants to go party and have a good time?
Okay, Jyoti, before we started recording, you made a comment, and I'm going to go back there. And the comment was, sometimes when I'm speaking in this realm, I say things people don't want to hear. What is it folks don't want to hear?
Um, I think it's what they're unwilling to face in themselves. what they're afraid of looking at, that it might jump out and bite them or something, or bring up so many fears that they don't know what to do with and they become paralyzed. I think it's an unraveling process of who we've been shown to be, that we are who we are by society, by family notions and family systems. And as we are willing to unravel or unpack that, as the expression goes today, as we're willing to unravel that, there's more and more, I think, of a willingness to keep going, to do our own work and keep unraveling that until we get to that essence of who we are, that sense of soul. And sometimes somebody will come along and they'll just say something to you, and it's like, oh, I don't want to look at that, or I don't want to think about that. That's going to take time and energy and me facing some things in myself. I remember on a personal level, I was living back east, and I remember a friend of mine from here, from Colorado, coming to visit. And I saw where she was at, and I was kind of marking time. And so when she left, I just wanted to put all my possessions in the middle of the room and set them on fire so I could travel lighter. But I had an upstairs apartment that somebody was living in, so I couldn't do that. So I got rid of a lot of stuff, and I got rid of all of it, and came back out to Colorado because there was something here for me. And it's not about geography, but it's about consciousness. And there was just something here for me that I couldn't connect with back east. And so um, it was just a look at where she was at and how honest she was with herself and how willing she was to just take things as the door of opportunity opened. She jumped right through. She didn't even think about it. And I thought, I need to work on this. I need to work on this with myself.
And so her arrival at that point in time was really a window of opportunity for you.
Oh, it was a blessing. Yes, it was a blessing.
Well, I love that the only reason you didn't burn them was because of the upstairs neighbor. So,
Yes, yes. I gave everything to the hospital thrift store. Yes.
yeah.
Well, it was just time. It was just time for change. And I was kind of being, that indecisive energy of, should I do this? Should I not? Should I stay the winter? Should I go? And so it was made very clear. I was given a mirror of something to look at. And so
Yeah.
that door opened for me and I walked through it.
Yeah. I think it's so beautiful that you're bringing that up right now because we're at a time that those doors and windows of opportunity are opening for folks. And I'm sure every one of our listeners knows that they're there for them. And they were at that crossroad, like, do I take it or do I keep traveling the way that I am?
Yeah. And that's where free will comes in. That's where listening deeper comes in. That's where paying attention to your dreams, paying attention to your inner life, and making room for it, even with a house full of kids. Sometimes you can just find 10 minutes to sit on your bed away from everybody else and tune in. I mean, that's what guides us. That's what guides us. What else is there to guide us? It's just connecting into that deeper sense of self, that soul level that is connected to everybody else's soul. It's not just isolated, but it's connecting into a deeper level so you can hear what you need to hear when you need to hear it.
Yeah, good reminder. Jyoti, when we began this, you brought up this theme of revolution and responsibility. What else would you like to share about that theme?
Well, that we all have a place in this, in what's happening today. And how we choose to respond to what's being offered us, I think, is going to speed up or delay outcome. Some people have a vision of what the earth could be without getting into too much spiritual drama there. And we're working toward that consciously, even if it's just planting seeds where you go, in your conversations with other people, or reframing something that somebody's telling themselves and helping them reframe it into something that, wow, that really is an adventure, not a torture, kind of thing. And it seems a very simple thing, but it opens up other doors of opportunity. And our gratitude for where we are and being here and having what we have available to us, I think, is that keeps that door open. I always feel like gratitude just keeps the door of opportunity open.
I think that's a great place to end, just reminding everyone of
Yes. Yes. So maybe I'll close with a kind of thank you. Yeah.
that.
Thank you to all the beings who show up to help us, whether in physical bodies or in spirit. Thank you to all those people who care enough about us to check in with us, to pray for us. How wonderful it is to have people who pray for us. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on the earth at this time. And thank you to our Mother Earth for her call for help with her own evolution, and thereby our evolution as well.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you for your time. Folks, I'd like to point you towards Jyoti's website if you're interested in any individual readings, soul retrieval, or workshops or classes. Jyoti, where can they find you?
It's www.jyotiwindastrology.com.
Perfect. Thanks for your time and wisdom.
Thank you, Lauren.